The night shift changes people. When the world is asleep and the lights are dim, you start to notice things you shouldn't. A sound down an empty hallway, a shadow where light should be, and sometimes you realize you're not alone. Tonight, I'll share 3 new true night shift horror stories, real experiences from people who were awake when no one else was. Story 1. The Man in the Break Room. I used to work overnight at a grocery store in Indiana. The store closed at midnight, so from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m., it was just me stocking shelves and a janitor named Chris cleaning floors. The building was big, quiet, and cold. The music was off, most of the lights were dim, and the parking lot outside was empty. I liked the calm. Until one night. Around 2:40 in the morning, I went to the employee break room to eat. The lights were off, like usual. The door was half open, and I could hear the soda machine humming inside. Everything seemed normal. But when I flipped the switch and the lights came on, I froze. Someone was sitting at the break table. I thought it was Chris at first, but the man wore a dirty gray jacket, and his baseball cap was pulled low. I could not see his eyes. He sat very still. His hands were flat on the table. His head was down, like he was staring at the floor. I said, "Hey, the store is closed. You can't be back here." No answer. No movement. I cleared my throat and tried again. "Sir, this room is for staff only. You need to leave." The man slowly lifted his head. Under the cap, I could finally see his face. His eyes looked tired, like he had not slept in days. His skin looked almost gray. His lips were dry and cracked. Then he spoke in a low, slow voice. "I never left." The way he said it made my whole body tense. It did not sound like a joke. Before I could move, the break room door behind me slammed shut, hard, like someone had kicked it. The sound was so loud that my ears rang. I jumped so hard I dropped my drink. For a second, I could not breathe. Then I spun around, grabbed the door handle, and yanked it open. The hallway outside was empty. When I looked back at the table, the man was gone. The chair was still out. The air felt cold, like someone had been sitting there for a long time. The smell in the room had changed, too. It now smelled like wet dirt and old clothes. I stepped out into the hall and checked both ways. No one. It was quiet. Too quiet. I walked fast to the front of the store and found Chris buffing the floors near the entrance. I asked him if he had just been in the break room. He frowned and said he had not left the front area for almost an hour. He also reminded me that the camera for the break room had been broken for weeks. I still had 3 hours left on my shift. I did not go near the break room again that night. I ate a candy bar while walking the aisles instead and kept looking over my shoulder. After that week, I asked my boss to move me to the day shift. I told him the night was too quiet for me. I did not tell him the real reason. Story 2. The Guy in the Photo Lab. I used to work night shift at a Walmart in Tennessee. I worked in electronics, but at night one person covered the entire side of the store. Phones, movies, gaming, and the abandoned little photo lab in the back corner. That photo lab was old and dusty, like nobody wanted to clean it. The machines were outdated, the chairs squeaked, and sometimes they made strange clicking noises even when turned off. I didn't think much of it until one night in February. It was 1:50 a.m., almost time for my break, and the store was silent. No customers. Lights dimmed. You could hear the buzz of the freezers all the way in electronics. I was pricing phone cases when I heard something that made me stop. A camera shutter. One single click. It came from the photo lab. At first I thought I imagined it, but then it happened again. A second click, louder this time, like someone had taken a photo right next to my ear. I know the machines were off. I shut them down myself at midnight. I walked toward the photo counter slowly, trying not to make noise, like someone might be hiding back there. As I got close, I heard something even worse. Whispering. Low voices, like people talking behind a closed door. But there was no door. Just a half wall and a swinging plastic curtain. The closer I got, the clearer it sounded. A man and a woman whispering fast, like they were arguing right next to the machines. I stepped behind the counter, pushed the curtain aside, and everything went silent. Nobody there. Just empty shelves, dust, and a dead computer monitor. I stood still for maybe 10 seconds, waiting for anything. A shadow, a footstep, a voice. But there was only that freezer buzz again. I started to walk away when I noticed the monitor flashed to life. The screen turned blue, then black, then an image loaded slowly, like dial-up speed old computers had. It was a picture of me, taken seconds earlier. Me standing at the edge of the Photolab entrance. Same clothes, same angle. The timestamp said 1:52 a.m. I felt my stomach drop. There was no camera pointed at the entrance, no active devices. Then another picture loaded. This one was closer. My face slightly turned, eyes looking confused. I hadn't even turned my head, but the photo showed me looking right at whoever, or whatever, took it. I backed away, keeping my eyes on the screen. My hands were shaking. A third photo appeared. But this time, it was not just me. Someone else was standing behind me in the picture. A man in a dark coat, tall, face out of frame, standing inches from my shoulder like he was waiting for me to turn around. I spun around fast. Nobody there. Just empty aisles stretching into darkness. I whispered, "Nope. No, not doing this," and reached for the power button on the monitor. But the screen changed again before I could touch it. A new photo. This one was inside the photo lab, taken from behind the machines. It showed the back of my head, close, like someone was leaning right over me. I swear I could feel breath on my neck. The screen flickered, and then a final image appeared. Grainy, black and white. Not me this time. It was a man standing in the photo lab, head down, gray jacket, baseball cap pulled low. Just like the man from Story 1, except older, thinner, and standing perfectly still in the shadows. Under the picture, one sentence typed itself slowly, like someone was hitting keys from inside the monitor. "I'm not done with nights." The lights above me started flickering, fast and violent. The monitors all turned off at the same time, and the camera developing machines started clicking like they were printing photos, even though they were unplugged. I ran so fast I left my scanner on the counter. I didn't look back until I reached the front doors where the overnight manager was counting money. She asked why I was breathing so hard. I told her one sentence. "Someone is in the photo lab." She checked the cameras, and I watched the screen over her shoulder. Every feed played normal. No figure, no movement, no man in a jacket. But when she pulled up the camera facing electronics, we saw a chair behind the photo counter slowly turn by itself, like someone invisible sat down. I quit 1 week later.
The new guy they hired to replace me lasted 2 nights. He said the camera clicked behind him while he was stocking phone chargers. He never came back for his paycheck.
Story 3. The Woman in the Parking Lot. I used to work night shift at a small community hospital in Texas. I wasn't a nurse. I was the person who sat at the front desk, handled calls, and watched the lobby from midnight to 6 a.m. Most nights were calm. I read books. Sometimes I walked to the vending machines. The building always felt half asleep. But there's one night I think about too often. Around 3:10 a.m., I noticed movement on the security cameras. The screen showed the parking lot, mostly empty except for a few cars near the emergency entrance. A woman was standing alone under the streetlight. That wasn't unusual at first. Visitors sometimes waited for rides late at night. But something about her body language felt wrong. She wasn't moving, not even swaying. She stood perfectly still, staring at the building. I zoomed in on the camera. She was wearing a hospital gown, the kind patients get when they're admitted. Bare legs, no socks. Hair messy like she'd come straight from bed. But here's the part that made my stomach drop. No patient was currently discharged. Nobody had left that night. No one should be outside alone. I picked up the phone and called the night nurse on duty. She checked the patient list and told me everyone was either asleep or monitored. No one was missing. I looked back at the camera. The woman was closer to the building. She had moved at least 20 feet while I was on the call, but I hadn't seen her move at all. I stepped to the glass entrance doors to look outside. She was standing just feet away now, only the glass separating us. The security lights made it worse. Her skin looked pale like moonlight, and her hospital gown was stained dark across the front. She wasn't breathing heavy. She wasn't crying. She just stared. I tried to speak through the intercom. "Ma'am, are you okay? Do you need help?" Her head tilted to the side, slow and unnatural. Then she lifted one hand and tapped the glass lightly. Tap, tap, tap. It echoed down the empty hallway like someone knocking inside my head. I stepped back. The tapping got faster, harder. Her face pressed against the glass, eyes wide, smiling like she knew something I didn't. Then her lips moved. No sound at first, just the shape of words. I leaned closer to read them. 6 words. "You don't belong here at night." Every hair on my body stood up. My heart felt like it hit my throat. I turned to call security, only a few steps away, but the moment I looked back, she was gone. Not walking away, just gone. The parking lot was empty again. No figure, no gown, no blood. Security searched the area. The cameras were reviewed frame by frame. She never walked into frame. She never walked out. She just appeared, and then wasn't there. On my last night working that shift, I checked the cameras one final time before clocking out. Same angle, same parking lot, same quiet darkness. For a second, I thought I saw her again. Far away under the streetlight, standing still the same way as before. When I blinked, she was gone. I left that job 2 days later. I still won't walk by that hospital at night. Night shift seems quiet, until it isn't. These stories are a reminder that sometimes the scariest things in the dark aren't ghosts. They're people. People watching. People waiting. People you never notice until it's already too late. If you have ever worked nights or seen something strange after midnight, tell me in the comments. I want to hear your story. And if you want part 3 tomorrow, like the video, subscribe, and type night in the comments so I know you're ready for more. Stay alert. Sleep well, if you can.